Hello everyone, a very good morning to you and welcome to the sunshine here in the Algarve region of Portugal. We're here with the Ferrari Challenge in Portimão, about to get qualifying underway for the races to come a little bit later today. As you can see, a little bit of harmless high cloud around, but it's mostly blue skies and the sun is beginning to beat down already. Temperature is going to be awesome once again today, as it has been days previous. Here's our formal and official welcome then to this really rather wonderful track here, the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. As you can see, we've been to the south of France, Le Castellet, to Italy, Mugello, Austria, Spielberg, France, Le Mans, which is where we were last time around, and here we are in Portimão, with still in prospect Budapest and Barcelona to complete our 2026 calendar. And let's give you a preview of what the conditions are going to be like for today then. And currently the track temperature is 20 degrees, the air temperature is 21 degrees. I would say it's a bit more than that already, but that's just a personal belief. I'm no meteorologist, that's for sure. Unbroken sunshine as the wind turbines are fluttering away, as you can see, generating the power that brings us this wonderful circuit here. We come here quite regularly with the Ferrari Challenge, 4.583 kilometers, 15 turns, 6 of them left, 9 of them right. It's about 18 kilometers from Portimão Resort Centre, an hour's drive or so from Faro. And of course, this is the sun-drenched southernmost region of the Algarve, famed for cliff-backed beaches, world-class golf resorts and fresh seafood. And one of those golf resorts is home to our accommodation this weekend, which is very lovely as well. Those are the drivers that you will see in the Copa Shell qualifying, which is the first that will take to the track for 30 minutes here. Paolo Scudieri, Ernst Kirchmeier, Jean Roux, Henrik Kamstrup, Masaru Yaneda, Shintaro Akatsu, Louis Peruscua, Tibor Valent, Charles Chan, Alvaro Ramos, Fritz Müller, Sven Schirmer, von Skeltermark, Karl Runefeld, Jan Sandman, Leon Rinbeek. A mix of Shell and Shell Am drivers, of course, which include Eric Chung and Alexei Komarov. So some 18 drivers will have 30 minutes on the track to gain the best lap time they can, as we see the final preparations for von Skeltermar right now. And the 177 car, he will be out shortly. All the scrutineering stickers to the left-hand side of your picture then on the door frame. You can see where he has been every single circuit this year. And there's Paolo Scudieri. Quietly contemplating the job that he's got to do in qualifying. Paolo Scudieri for Sun Mocar is the team that he drives for. Just quietly going about his business. Hi, time I introduce my colleague here from Germany. It's not his fault. Nico Spalek. Hello, good morning.
No, I don't think it is. Jean Roux, he is already in the car and biding his time, but as you can see, anticipation in his smile. Sven Schirmer at the front of the queue. Not the first time we've ever seen that. He is always very, very eager to get out. We're about a minute away from this session getting underway. You said it, Portimão is certainly one of the staples of the Ferrari Challenge. We've been here, we've started the season here, we've had some great, fascinating racing, and the weather at this...
For another fine driver. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment as we were looking at Alvaro Ramos there in the 150 car. But yeah, good to see Benny here. I think it was Benny. I hope it is. Otherwise I'm going to look a fool. That's definitely Ernst Kirchmeier.
That's definitely Ernst Kirchmeier. Alvaro Ramos, he obviously home turf. He hails from Portugal, and therefore Portimão is certainly his home gig. Lots of guests, lots of friends, lots of people around specifically for this event.
Sven's wife, Farnas, who is right at the front of the queue in thought process, as well as her husband, who of course now leads the cars away, Nico, as we get this qualifying session underway. 30 minutes then of hot rock to come on this wonderful Portimão circuit. So we'll see who does what and comes where when we get to the end of those 30 minutes of qualifying. So Alvaro Ramos, the Santagal driver, home gig for him. I wonder if he's brought any of those awesome, very juicy cherries that he shared amongst us last time we were here, Nico.
The chilled cherries.
Chilled, that's right, they were refrigerated, weren't they?
Yeah, it's not refrigerated out on the track, as we already saw. Temperatures already quite reasonable. the action will heat up over the remaining 29 minutes as the drivers get themselves in rhythm, get their Pirelli P0s, their brake discs, everything up to perfect temperatures before they really lay down the gauntlet and go about chasing times in earnest.
Benny Simonson, we saw a few moments ago, or we think we did. Let's make mention of the fact that he was sitting in a GT3 drive in the States in a Ferrari with Jay Schreibman, and he was covering Oz Negri, who's another famous driver, very successful Ferrari driver, Oz Negri, who picked up an injury, so Benny was sitting in for him. So Oz, hope the recovery is going well. Here's Sven Schirmer then, 175. Now, of course, Sven Schirmer, with incredible success last season, won the Ferrari Challenge Copa Am Championship, elevated immediately to the yellow strip atop the windscreen, which means he is now a Copa driver, and dare I say it, Nico, he's hit the ground running with regards to Copa as well. This man has been chasing him quite a lot during the season, although his attack has not been perhaps as sharp as it was last year. That was Jan Sandman that we were looking at in the final stages of preparation before he gets out on track. Big shout out to our production crew just in the quiet stages of this, because they have labelled, we have this kind of broadcast desk in our studio here, and they've labelled my button King Dave 1. It's really rather nice, isn't it? Thanks, Claudio and the team for doing that. That's inappropriate, but nice.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say inappropriate. I think it's very fitting. And I feel honored to be alongside you, Mr. King.
Stop it.
Your Majesty. Sven Schirmer, not yet majestic, although the color of his first sector, being colored purple, is majestic. Some context to that. He's the first one on a flying lap, so inevitably that will be the best sector of anybody. So let's take that with a small pinch of sea salt as Sven Schirmer continues to find his groove and find the line. We heard from some of the drivers yesterday that finding the line wasn't always ideal, and one or two drivers had offs during the free practice and test sessions. So it didn't go all according to plan, and Shintaro Akatsu with a little bit of a sideways moment as he follows Sven Schirmer, who now is approaching the final few turns on this circuit. It's a little bit of a roller coaster, and you can tell that from the pictures, how the track drops in some places. There are a few blind corners even, and you can see the straight is straight in terms of left and right, but it's certainly not level.
Not elevation-wise, is it? No. Well, Shintaro Akatsu then, he is the fastest of the Shell Am drivers, the fastest of the Shell drivers, Sven Schirmer, as you can see from the left-hand side of your screen. What we'll do, we'll throw those graphics up there as the times are put up, as we see Charles Chan jumping into his matte blue finished 296 Challenge car. Sven Schirmer, Shintaro Akatsu, Fons Skeltermeyer has just posted a time. Best that we can see so far is a 1:46.151. And you can see the preparation that goes on in terms of the drivers being strapped into the car. Of course, their comfort and safety is of paramount importance. Paramount with a capital PA. As Alvaro Ramos then starts another lap here. I guess these Copa Shell drivers, Nico, to a degree are being advantaged by running fairly early in the day. So the track temperature is the lowest it's going to be for any driver out there on track. Therefore, tyre deg is going to be less for these drivers than perhaps for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers when they take to the track in about an hour's time.
Yeah, it's this interesting dynamic because, as you say, the track temperature is less demanding, less abrasive, if you will.
Yep.
But still the track evolves, so you have to find the right moment. When do I go out to be in the position to put the best time with the minimal strain on the tire? So you're kind of trying to do two things at once, which not necessarily work together. The key strategy is do the minimal amount of laps that you can possibly get away with while setting the fastest lap. That's so easy. It sounds easy, isn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. There are so many parameters that play into that. just doing two things at once is where I would fall over straight away, quite clearly, you know, on account of the fact I can't do that. Running the telemetry on the Alvaro car as well, as you can see. Third gear now. I mean, there's not a lot of time here at the Portimão circuit for any driver to relax. Fourth gear up to 200 kilometers per hour, damn near, before just a little dab of the brakes. Then you're rolling downhill again. Going to put another lap in the book now for Alvaro Ramos as he climbs the start-finish straight now to cross the timing line. That speed camera brought to you in association with Faye as Alvaro Ramos there, as I mentioned, puts in another lap. Only 5 drivers thus far have posted lap time, so some choosing to leave it until later in the session. So Shintaro Akatsu, Sven Schirmer, von Skelterman, Louis Pereskia, and Alvaro Ramos. And interestingly, Nico, the driver of this car, Shintaro Akatsu, who is a Shell Am driver, has whooped the bottom of the Shell drivers so far. Okay, we are talking 9 1,000ths, but 9 1,000ths is 9 1,000ths, and Shintaro Akatsu is quicker than anybody. With a 1:44.817. Well done, Shintaro, the Ineco Reparto Corsa Ram driver. The team, which is managed by Giorgio Sanaggiotto and Enrique alongside him as well. They're a fantastic team and they work so well together, as Shintaro, below me, has now gone even quicker and has increased the margin between himself and Sven Schirmer, but Sven responds almost immediately, Nico, with a 1:44.258. So Shintaro remains the quickest of the Shell Am drivers, but he's not quickest of every driver now.
Indeed, and there was a replay of Shintaro and the car sliding just a little bit on the downhill section. Yeah, the best pole time we had in Copper Shell 2 years ago when we were here last was of 1:42.959. That was qualifying 2, qualifying 1. The previous day was pretty much exactly a second slower, or half a second slower. It was Manuela Gostner who made her mark on both days back then.
Manuela Gostner, who's now racing in the Ferrari Challenge UK series, which will be back on track next weekend at the famed Brands Hatch circuit, where we bring you 2 tracks in one weekend, because we race on the Indy circuit and also the Grand Prix circuit.
That's quite...
Did you say it was a 1:42?
1:42.9 was the quickest Shell qualifying time, so we're still about a second and 3/10 away from that.
If it could be a 1:42.958, that would mean a lot to a lot of people in London. Just saying, in joke there. Sven Schirmer, Shintaro Akatsu, von Skelterman, Louis Pereskia, and Alvaro Ramos, the 5 drivers who have posted time so far. And to be fair, Nico, that means we still have another 13 drivers to get out there on track who don't appear to be in any hurry to do so.
No, we've got 2 drivers, Fritz Müller and Alexei Komarov, who are indicated as being on it. That, well, we will see.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, let's see. Let's see how they choose to run this particular session. So von Skelterman then, he's about 5/10 away from being right at the top of the chart. And let's see what the split times are on this lap and whether Fons is getting closer to it. He's got the car ahead of him. And that car ahead of him's on an out lap, so Fons now is 2/10 down. Just had to take a tighter line through that turn than he would have been optimised, but there you go. Sometimes traffic is on the track, isn't it? And you can't make your car disappear. I've said this so many times, but it's something that you need to be minded of when you are out there, and that is where the position of other cars out there on the track, and that's where the team plays such an important role, Nico, in they can see the GPS data of cars out there on track and where exactly they are, and therefore when to put your driver out on track to go for it.
Absolutely. I think it was the Ernst Kirchmeier car that von Skelterman came upon in that hairpin, and that's one of those spots where it's very difficult to make your car disappear, because wherever you put it, you're on the racing line. As Sven Schirmer increased his gap over Shintaro Akatsu, he's now flirting with the 1:43s, hasn't quite found the date yet, but the flirt continues to the tune of a 1:44.081. I predict that we will see the 1:43.
I think you're right.
As von Skeltemer, for the time being, comes back into the pit lane. Certainly his lap was compromised anyway, so he will find that maybe if he feels like tire pressures could need a little bit of an adjustment, now is a good time to come back and repair that in the best possible sense of the word.
So making his way down the pit lane right now. And over the brow comes the Karl Runefeld, Auto Roper Racing driver, who's currently third within the Shell category, fourth overall, driving the 181 car. So Auto Roper Racing from Sweden. Hello, Martin Nelson. Missing you on the track, friend. Martin Nelson always used to have, I mean, we've talked about this when you have the most wonderful car like a 296 Challenge car to play with in terms of color schemes. And in previous iterations of Challenge cars, which have included, of course, the 488s and 458s and many others, Martin Nelson always used to put together a very attractive colored car, I think.
A green, blue, a green, blue.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, because it was green on the one side, blue on the other, and depending on which side the camera found the car, it seemed like two different cars. Threw me off quite a few times. Karl Runefeld is not giving us that level of issues as he is going through in super slow-mo that very long winding final turn of the circuit.
You were so right. You could see the engineer there just taking a look at the temperatures in the on the von Skeltemer 296 Challenge car, making really minuscule adjustments to tyre pressures because, of course, Nico, you set the pressures at where you want them to be, knowing that they are going to rise during the course of the qualifying session or race, depending on what it is. And it's not a precise science, is it?
It is a compromise, I would say. Obviously, the teams know what they're doing, but, you know, 1 or 2 degrees of track temperature here and there, and I think that's one of the integral elements of motorsport that the casual viewer may just not fully understand, is how the drivers, every single lap that they do during qualifying, during a race, will feel a little bit different. And therefore, adjustments to brake balance and stuff like that, and braking points, they always change a little bit. So it's not like you train it once, you do it exactly the same, and nothing ever changes, like maybe you do if you are in a very basic racing game or simulator. This is one of the skills that the top drivers have, is really adjusting and finding the absolute limit in all conditions, which is ever changing.
Yes, absolutely. It's constantly evolving. No doubt. So, a bit of a race going on here with Paolo Scudieri. But Paolo going through okay. Jan Sandman, which it's an unfamiliar livery for Jan Sandman, Nico, which earlier on I think we thought it might have been a change of colour, which that's very close to the Ernst Kirchmayr colours.
Yeah, and Jan Sandman, he was one of the drivers who found a line yesterday that wasn't advantageous, and therefore is in a different car and thus a different livery. Sven Schirmer, he reigns supreme in our timing screen as we have just hit half time in the session, and door opens, air comes in, tire pressures being checked. I think he's going to come out again, but certainly feels like for the time he's done enough. He will give his Pirelli P0 some rest himself as well, and then contemplate what is happening around him. And especially if something happens in front of him in terms of times, that will prompt a reaction, I feel fairly sure.
Yes, he will want to respond, won't he? Interestingly now, Nico, we have every driver bar a couple out there on track, and the two that are yet to venture out onto the track are Tibor Valent and Eric Chung, if I may say so. Two of the more experienced drivers in the Ferrari Challenge who've been around for many years. Ernst Kirchmeier with 2 purple sectors. Nico's just picked up on our timing screen. The Kessel Racing driver looking to potentially vault Sven Schirmer in the times. There is the Ernst Kirchmeier car now. The driver who has had so much success in the Ferrari Challenge and still very much loves being part of it, is going to break the timing beam now and does indeed set a new time, a 1:43.569. So in the offing, Nico, and in his opening gambit, he has taken half a second out of Sven Schirmer. And not only that, he's achieved what you have been waiting for, putting it into the 1:43s, but putting it slap bang in the middle of the 1:43s as well. So not just by a little has Ernst Kirchmeier gone well. And I think, if nothing else, it cements your view that Sven Schirmer's going to come out and try and respond to that.
Yeah, pretty sure. As Jean Roux, who we follow here in the yellow and black livery, a color combination that Ernst Kirchmeier used to sport back in the days.
Was it the old Ernst Kirchmeier car that you considered the Flying Hornet? I can't remember.
Yes, indeed, the precursor to the Pink Hornet, but we're going way back into the annals of the Ferrari Challenge. Anyway, Jean Roux in the here and now is leading the Copper Shell M class and leads it by 3/10 over Shintaro Akatsu, who in turn currently is in the pit lane. So he is trying to build on that lead, going through that very, very long right-hander. Has got a little bit of a slipstream, which is not disadvantageous here along the final few meters, and indeed stretches his legs, moves up 1 place ahead of Sven Schirmer overall, but more importantly, improves his gap in Shell M.
Jean Roux has been an absolute sensation this season, in my opinion. Has driven like a demon. However a demon drives, he has driven like one, because he's been very, very exciting to watch, delivering of results, and certainly in terms of qualifying, he has delivered pole position within class at the moment for the Shell M drivers. Of course, Shintaro Akatsu and Fritz Muller and Masaru Yaneda and other drivers et al. Will try and take that away over the next 11.5 minutes. But here's Eric Chung, who's done personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2, which is kind of no surprise. He's currently 6th in class. And we'll see what Eric Chung can do. He's 10th overall, as I say, 6th within the Copper Shell drivers. Breaks the timing beam now and remains where he was.
Yeah, very different. It was very visible how he attacked the inside of the curbs on the entry of that final turn, where other drivers we'd seen before were much wider through there, and this is exactly what I was talking about. And it unsettles the car just a little bit, and I think that may have cost him a little bit of momentum over there. Hope that didn't compromise the next lap that he started by dint of having less top speed, but Eric Chung is such an experienced and good driver. He will find the next 10.5 minutes his playground and an option to improve. Henrik Kamstrup 7th in class, which is further down the order than we would expect him to be, but personal bests in Sector 1 and 2 indicate that he's about to do something in terms of improving his position. I think Portimão, just going away from the action a little bit, offers some great shots with the cars at the top of the elevations in front of the blue sky here in the south of Portugal. Just brings out the best in the liveries. Henrik Kamstrup, we go back on strip, the 1:45. That's not an improvement. The final sector wasn't where he wanted it to be. It's a little bit of an improvement in terms of time, but he didn't gain any positions.
In his quest to try and improve, Ernst Kirchmeier has picked up a track limit, which has, in fact, he's done 2 track limits in the session so far, which, of course, in qualifying means that the lap time is deleted in race mode. You get 3 track limits, the 4th track limit excursion, you would pick up a time penalty. So that's something for us to bear in mind when it comes to the race a little bit later on. Here is Jan Sandman then in the 186 car for Kessel Racing. It's Kirchmeier from Ryu, from Schirmer and Katsu. Tibor Valent now has put it into P3 as Masaru Yoneda just had a scary moment there. So Tibor Valent P3 overall, but P2 within the Shell class. So well done Tibor, who incidentally, Nico, his son Bence Valent is here this weekend as well, offering youthful advice to his father, who's been in the Ferrari Challenge for a number of years. A very successful family, the Valent family, where of course thinking they'll be going to a home circuit next.
Indeed, it's
Budapest.
going to be Budapest, the newly renovated, upgraded F1 level.
Oh, the prison gates haven't gone to the media centre, have they?
That's very much an insider here. If you've never been to the old Budapest media complex, you will be forgiven. And there's no going back to that, because now the track and the infrastructure is shiny.
The first time I ever went to that fantastic circuit, and it is a fantastic circuit, with the sight of the water park from our elevated commentary position, which at that stage was nothing more than a garden shed at the top of a grandstand.
With 39 degrees outside temperatures.
Yes.
So you can understand why the water park was specifically appealing.
Mons is out of the car, Nico.
He's not where he would like to be,
No.
Certainly not, but feels like
He's done everything he can do.
pushing more is just going to compromise what he can do in the race later on. So he's lives to fight another day, if you will, as Fritz Müller. He's currently 4th in class, which arguably is more what he would want and expect now. Is he satisfied with that? Certainly not, because then he wouldn't be out there. But that's a decent and very, very respectable result for him, as we see more and more drivers coming into pit lane. And Kirchmeier also car open, gets unbuckled, and he also considers this session over. But Fritz Müller, for the time being, no personal best, so not expecting this to be an improvement. We've got 6.5 minutes remaining.
Drivers instinctively know when the risk-reward is just not worth pushing for anymore.
Yes, I mean, that's what makes a good driver a good driver.
Yes. And there you can just see in the background there, Ernst's driver coach, Marco Bononomi.
But just as we look at Ernst Kirchmeier, who obviously reigns supreme for the time being, Tibor Valent has moved up to P3, and
that's Sven Schirmer out.
And that's a red flag for sure in this session, because where that car is, close to the tarmac, that means no improvements in terms of time will be possible. So for now it's just yellow, but I expect that session to be suspended. Yes, and it is now.
Actually go into the time areas as well.
Good thing that they're very wide and soft at that point. Well, soft in relation to a 296 challenge. And so that took away all the momentum.
We're right on the cusp, Nico, of 5 3/4 minutes of whether there's any point in the session reigniting, if you will, once the Sven Schirmer car has been recovered.
Yeah, I mean, the lap time is a 1:43, so subtract that just mathematically, you've got 4 minutes to play with. Now, your outlap is going to be slower, and you will probably need more than the 1:43, but even if you invest 2 laps into doing that, you could still maybe theoretically even get 2 flying laps in. That you'd be hard-pressed to do that, but I think there is certainly, for those drivers who feel like they're out of position, that offers a chance. I think it's more about those drivers who actively have said, well, I think this session is done for me. You can reconsider potentially. You can think, well, actually, you know, given more time, given an opportunity, maybe there is a point.
Well, we'll see. For the moment, the red flag's out, and that is for the recovery of the Sven Schirmer car. We had 5 3/4 minutes as the clock has been stopped. Genre in conversation here, Sven Schirmer out of the car then. Just one of those things, you know, pushing hard and just the back end of the car letting go. And there is Sven's wife, He did make contact with the tyre barriers. I don't think that's done any significant damage to the back of the car, Nico. To be honest, as we look at the 114 car, which of course is driven by Masaru Yoneda. Masaru was third fastest in the Shell Am drivers, seventh fastest overall, so a reasonable qualifying from Masaru Yoneda so far. And let's take a look then at some of the highlight images from the qualifying session that we have seen thus far. So just some images of the highlights that we've seen during the qualifying session that's been playing out for our Copa Shell and Copa Shell Am drivers. The session is suspended at the moment with 5 3/4 minutes left on the clock as we have the stricken Sven Schirmer car to be recovered. Well, there you can see Sven Schirmer being recovered right now on the back of the scooter. Clutch out, let's go. And the queue of cars ready to get back out there again. Tibor Valent is at the head of the queue, and he's currently third fastest, second fastest within class. He is a Shell driver, so we'll see how many of those drivers will go back out again to see whether they can improve. There's Danilo Del Favaro, who of course is a Trofeo Pirelli Am driver, who's just limbering up, ready for his qualifying session, which will start pretty much almost as soon as this Copa Shell qualifying is done. There is the Chung partnership of Eric and Corinne, both there in shot. The Formula Racing drivers, Eric Chung, one of the longest serving Ferrari Challenge drivers. And it was a nice feature in a previous program, which check it out on the archives if you would like, of Eric Chung and reliving the the fantastic relationship he has had with the Ferrari Challenge over a number of years. And that was in a previous program. The Alvaro Ramos car is parked up in the pit lane. And that is the car that we're looking at right now. And 18 drivers across Shell and Shell Am then that contest this qualifying session. No word yet from race control in terms of when the flag is going to be changed from red to green, and we can get the remaining 5 3/4 minutes back in this session. I'm just looking at von Skelterma there, who earlier on had brought his car in and got out of the car, but now with this red flag suspension, I'm just wondering whether Fons is getting back in the car and is prepared to have another go, because he is one of those drivers that you would certainly say is out of position. He's 6th in class, but that's 10th overall, and that means a 5th row start for Fons Skelterma. So has he jumped back into the car? Is he going to go again? Yes, he has. You can see just to the left of your picture there him being strapped back in the car, so he's clearly decided that he's going to go again. So we go into the garages and take a look at some of those drivers preparing for their Pirelli and Pirelli Am qualifying sessions, which will be coming up very, very soon. Just as soon as the Copa Shell qualifying has been brought to a conclusion. So yeah, there, left-hand side of your picture, look at the 177 door that you can see. That's von Skelterma having got back into the car and ready to go back out again. So a change of strategy from von Skelterma, who is going to go again and contest the final 5 3/4 minutes of this qualifying session when it does get going again. At the moment, as I say, we have no news from race control as to when the session is going to get underway. Passioni Ferrari Club Challenge, and there's Sean Hudspeth doing a piece to camera. He's one of the driver coaches, and a very good driver coach, and good driver in his own right is Sean Hudspeth. Right, session is going to restart in exactly a minute and a half from now. There, confirmation of that on your screen from race control. Session restarting at 9:35. There's von Skelterma joining the queue of cars. So a change and turnaround from von Skelterma then, who had parked the car and felt that he delivered and extracted as much as he could from the session, has realized and decided that with the session brought to a premature suspension that he can go again and is going to go again. And there is the 113 car on the back end of the 113 car of Henrik Kamstrup. There through the rim, you can see the clock and the red flashing light, but it's only going to be flashing for another 40 seconds or so as we get ready to get the light to change from red to green, and we can go back to qualifying again. It's going to be short and sharp, and as Nico has indicated, perhaps 1, maybe 2 out laps, then 1, possibly 2 hot laps.
Yeah, we've got, if I counted correctly, there are 9 cars in the queue on the fast lane, and that is exactly half our contingent. So half the drivers look like they are eager to go out and do something about their position. The others will bide their time and watch what happens, and happening is exactly the keyword, as right now we're green, and everybody who is eager to go out is doing so, and Tibor Valent, the first of them.
So the green flag flies at the end of the pit lane as we get this session underway once again. Charles Chan, and there is Sven Schirmer. It's Sven Schirmer's car that was beached in the gravel. And Sven Schirmer now, Nico, faces the prospect of potentially having to start race 1 from a grid position that he will feel is not where he could or should be. He may well be further down the order than he would expect. At the moment, he's on a 2nd row start, Nico, but if we see drivers like Sandman and Runefeld, or Shintaro Akatsu or Masaru Yaneda improving, that will just push Sven Schirmer further down the order. We're on the On board with Tibor Valint, the Rosso Corsa racer now. Just kissing the apex of that left-hander, climbing uphill once again as we lose the signal just momentarily. It's Kirchmeier that, before the session was stopped, was leading with a 1:43.569. Only 3 drivers in the 43 is Ernst Kirchmeier, Jean Roux, and this driver, Tibor Valint, who we're watching right now, driving the 132 car.
Yeah, just to give you an overview of the standings, Sven Schirmer leads von Skelton by 12 points. Another 5 points adrift is Tibor Valint, then Eric Chung, Jan Sandman, and Ernst Kirchmeier, all pretty evenly matched, around 25 to 30 points behind Sven Schirmer. So Sven has a little bit of a cushion, and his closest rivals, rival von Skeltema, also isn't figuring perfectly. This man, Tibor Valint, he could be the one, if he continues on his trajectory where he left off just before the red flag came out, he might be the big beneficiary.
I wonder how much of a motivation that was for von Skeltema to come back out again, Nico, because, as you say, that points, I think you said, he's 12 points adrift of Sven Schirmer. It's still close enough to warrant having a go and trying to advance yourself on the grid a couple of places, even if you're not going to wrestle away necessarily that 1 point award that you would get for pole position if you were able to secure that. But Tibor Valint certainly having a go here, and suspect that von Skeltema is going to be doing exactly the same. So we have Tibor Valint out on track. We have Jan Sandman out on track. We have von Skeltema out on track, and also Eric Chung, all making their way around this circuit here. Let's see who can do what and where in the final 3 minutes or so. Well, 2 3/4 minutes of this qualifying session that remains. We're live from Portimão. We're watching the Copa qualifying session for the Ferrari Challenge. And on board with the Rosso Corsa racer Tibor Valint, to Sector 1 and Sector 2. Not perhaps where he would want them to be yet as the Rosso Corsa team look on. They, of course, engineer the Tibor Valint car. And Tibor's son, Ben Valint, here to coach all weekend long as Tibor Valint now crosses the timing line with 2 minutes left on the clock, which theoretically means that Tibor could do 2 more laps. This one and 1 more if he so chose to do.
Yeah, and the previous one wasn't quick enough, so I think this first sector will tell us quite a bit about how quick he can be on this attempt. And if he can get anywhere close to the current pole time from Ernst Kirchmeier, then that might inform him in terms of, is there a point in stressing the tires again. First sector is 1/10 behind, so that's not too far off. Certainly, if you're still pushing and getting the tires into the optimum window, maybe you can gain those few 100s that you still need over the remaining 2 sectors. Gonna be interesting.
Eric Chung is improving. His Sector 2 was a personal best. So he's going to round the lap out now. Let's see where this takes Eric Chung. Well, he moves up a place. That's probably not enough. Here's Tibor Valint, whose sector times, Nico, are not looking terribly impressive. So Tibor Valint is going to have to dig deep and try and find some more pace across one final lap if he's going to do it.
Yeah, Jan Sandman also, second sector was a personal best, but not looking like a massive improvement, if any, on this lap. But he too will have that one more bite at the chilled cherry. Tibor Valint, well, he improves a place.
And that all came in the final sector, Nico.
Yeah, leapfrogs Jean Roux, so at least he's on the front row for the time being, but that final purple sector will give him the confidence that there may be another one in there that could be even better.
And if nothing else, Nico, what that does is it kicks the bottom of our perhaps arrogance of thinking that Sector 1 and Sector 2 means that it's not going to do, because you don't need to colour those sectors. You can still, one sector can be enough, and that's been proven by Tibor Valint. He's now only a 10th and a 3rd away from Ernst Kirchmeier. will be very interesting to see what he's doing on this lap. And dare I say it, Nico, Sector 1 is purple. That means quicker than anyone for Tibor Valent across the first sector. It's feasible, of course, that Tibor had not quite got everything up to temperature in the previous laps, and it's this one that is going to be the real deal one. That's Tibor Valent for Rosso Corsa we ride on board with right now as he climbs uphill. He's looking to vault Ernst Kirchmeier with a 1:43.569. Sector 2 is well, several tenths down on where he needed it to be, but even if it remains at 1:43.703, it's still a front row start for Tibor Valent. Here he is. This is definitely the final opportunity he will get. Now, he found time in the final sector on the last lap, Nico.
Yeah, but he lost half a second, and I think he might just decide to, dive into the pit lane. It was just too much of a burden to overcome whatever he lost in that final sector. And there's the reaction. Well, it's a game of margins, game of inches sometimes, and the inches benefit Ernst Kirchmeier, who you can tell is...
He's happy about that, isn't he?
Yeah, it means something to him, and fair play. Jean-Roux, our two pole sitters shaking hands, Shell and Shell-Am.
Of course, it's brilliant for the team, isn't it? Ronnie Kessel's team, they've got P1 in both Shell and Shell-Am, as you rightly said, Nico. So well done to Jean-Roux and well done to Ernst Kirchmeier. And they're the delight for our Ferrari Challenge drivers. And only 7 minutes away from the next qualifying session, which will be for our Trofeo Pirelli drivers out there on track. So good stuff.
Yeah, and even though it didn't trouble Ernst Kirchmeier eventually, I think Tibor Valent, his decision to come out again, at least it vaulted him to the front row, and that will give him a better chance to do something into turn 1 potentially.
And there he is with his son Benz taking a look at the data on the screen. I would say from the mood music there that Tibor was not looking as happy as he could.
No, and we don't know how he lost the half second either.
No.
I mean, because that was not something that was gradual. That was something, whether he came up on traffic or he just made a mistake or whatever it was. I think you're right. I think there was the feeling that, well, it could have worked. It could have worked out.
Yep. Well, but he has got a front row start. That's for sure. Let's take nothing away from this man that has delivered pole position for our Shell drivers, a 1:43.569 for Ernst Kirchmeier. For our Shell-Am drivers, Jean-Roux, he continues his success story with a 1:43.834. The Kessel Racing driver makes it P1 for our Shell-Am drivers. We'll take a look at the confirmed classification once that has been okayed by race control, and here it is right now for you. Ernst Kirchmeier, Tibor Valent, top 2 in the Shell drivers. It's Jean-Roux and Shintaro Katsu, top 2 in the Shell-Am drivers. Now, Sven Schirmer, well, did well, to be fair, to hold on to that P4 overall. Then it was Jan Sandman, Masaru Yaneda and Karl Runefeld. They occupy the first 8 positions, or the first 4 rows of the grid when it comes to the race this afternoon. Ahead of Fritz Müller, Eric Chung, Fons Skeltermar, Charles Chan, Leon Rinbeek, Henrik Kamstrup and Alvaro Ramos. And they're ahead of Paolo Scudieri, Alexei Komarov and Louis Perusquia. So for Copa Shell qualifying, we are done and dusted. Stand by, we have Trofeo Pirelli qualifying to come in but a few moments' time.
Welcome back to Portimão. Welcome back to the sunshine here in the south of Portugal, the Algarve region and the Algarve circuit in center shot. And taking the limelight will be our Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli M drivers in the qualifying session that will start in about a minute and a half. This is the venue here, just a few kilometers away from the seaside. And this is the calendar that has brought us to this place, and that's still in store. Le Castellet, Mugello, Spielberg, Le Mans. We are here in Portimão in July. We continue in Budapest in September, and the glittering final in November, Barcelona, down in Spain. That's going to be the highlight for the decision in the championship, but it's a highlight one way or the other with all the activities of the Corsa Clienti brought together, and it's just a can't miss gig.
Yes, kind of two separate events together there, the final rounds of the championship, and then, as you have rightly said, is the finale Mondiali event as well, which is separate to the championships, but affords the drivers a title opportunity to become world champion across the Ferrari Challenge. So this is the Algarve International Circuit then. Quite an undulating one, and here is a list of the drivers that we'll see, including Sergio Paulet, Max Mugelli, Danilo Del Favro for the Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM drivers. Going to be an interesting qualifying session of 30 minutes, which has started. However, not one driver out on track at the moment, as we look at Niklas Abrahamsson for Formula Racing, making his debut in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. We've got 5 Pirelli drivers and 8 Pirelli AM drivers. Danilo Del Favro is a Pirelli AM driver, and Danilo then puts the earpiece in, then the fireproof balaclava, getting himself ready to get out there on track. You can just see there is the number 44 driver, Nobuhiro Imada. Very, very good and experienced driver. The HANS device, the head and neck support device that you can see around the back of the crash helmet there. Number 88 car of Juha Turalba, driving for the Emil Frey racing team. Emil Frey with much success in the world of Ferrari racing. And Juha Turalba then a welcome addition to our gamut, if you will, of Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM drivers. As Sergio Paulet then for Inico Roberto Corsa Ram is out there. Also out there is the car of Nunes Franco, making debut in Ferrari Challenge this weekend as well. So a number of drivers having their first opportunity of driving these wonderful 296 Challenge cars in competition here in the Ferrari Challenge series and championship, of course, which extends its reach worldwide. We race here in Europe, we race in North America, in Japan, in the UK, in Australasia, and also from December we'll be racing in the Ferrari Challenge Middle East as well. So the number 67 car then. And there is Herbert Guys, who's not yet in the car. He's just quietly contemplating what he needs to do. Herbert Guys is a fantastic, characterful driver from Germany. And you can see just some of the character played out in his on his car in terms of the livery, as well as Sergio Paulet goes for his first timed lap right now. Sergio Paulet is at the beginning of the season where he had 3 wins on the bounce. Not been back on the top step of the podium since then, it has to be said, so he'll be hoping to get himself back into that winning play over the course of this weekend. So welcome to Ruben Fernando Gil then making his debut in the Ferrari Challenge. Trofeo Pirelli. Delighted to welcome Jason McCarthy from Wide World Ferrari here as well in Europe. And Jason, very much a front runner in the Ferrari Challenge North America over many, many seasons. I've had the privilege of talking about him. And Sergio Paulet then posting a 33.649 in Sector 1. So as I say, he had huge success in the first few races. 3 race wins, followed by 3 P2s, and then a P3 and a P2 in Le Mans, which is no mean achievement, it has to be said, on the surface of the Saab. But for the last 5 races, the top step of the podium has eluded him. So at relatively close to home venue, he'll be wanting to go back to the top step of the podium. He puts his first lap in the book, which is not a meaningful one relative to the lap times that we were expecting from our Trofeo Pirelli drivers as the session continues. Super slow-mo replay then of Sergio Paulet, then, as I mentioned, drives for the Ineco Reparto Corsa Ram team. Up next for our focus is the car of Thomas Nunes Franco. Again, debutant in the Ferrari Challenge, driving the number 67 car. Say in conversation with him yesterday, he does rather like this Portimão circuit. So you will recall my mentioning that Sergio Paulet's last lap time was not one to take too much notice of, as he's already taken a huge chunk of time out of his previous lap time. So Sergio Paulet decided, Nico, to run fairly early on in the session. Now, in our last qualifying session, which we saw from our Shell and Shell Am drivers, I think we were seeing times in the 43s.
Yeah, exactly. And Sergio Paulet is certainly on par to maybe get into the same range early in the session. It's a 1:43.647, right on cue he delivers, and you can feel that for the Pirelli drivers, and Sergio Paulet certainly among them. That's not the end of the story. They will feel like there is more in themselves, in their talent, and in the car, of course. So more expecting maybe a 1:42. But that's the future. Right now, Sergio Paulet at 1:43.6, and Giacomo Rinaldo, the first driver of the AMS, who has set a time. It's a 1:47.099, and I feel like he's going to improve on that himself fairly quickly.
Already doing so across Sector 1, that's for sure. So you're absolutely right to suggest that there'll be only one way that that car and driver combo will be going, and that way has taken 3 1/3 seconds out of his previous time. So Giacomo then very much hoping to improve. I have waxed lyrical, Nico, about seeing Jason McCarthy out in the European contingent. It's going to be very much a driver to watch. Jason is a supreme driver. And yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see how he mixes it up with our European stars in Pirelli and Pirelli and Jason McCarthy representing Wide World Ferrari. Here comes Giacomo Rinaldo then to post a time of 1:43.258, which sends him to the top of the chart, Nico.
Yeah, that is the improvement that we were thinking we would get from Giacomo Rinaldo, and he delivered and showed all he could in this attempt.
However, Sergio Paulet has responded.
Not surprising.
With a 1:42 and a 1:42.566, so it's quite a margin of very nearly 7/10 better than Giacomo Rinaldo. Here is Max Mugelli then accelerating up the hill over the crest as we pick up on the car. Max Mugelli for CDP Eureka competition, yet to post a time. Let's see, as Max is now just taking his foot off and he's just building his momentum, isn't he, and building his confidence and just setting himself up for this is very much an installer. Sergio Paolo currently P1 and is improving still further, as indeed is Giacomo Rinaldo. Early stages of this qualifying session, it's nip and tuck between those two drivers.
Indeed, as we've seen a few more drivers come out of pit lane, that means traffic potentially coming into play before too long. Still, a lot of the drivers have decided to leave their quali attempts and efforts to at least the second third of this session. Well, let's see, there is Giacomo Rinaldo. He is finishing this lap. I don't think that's an improvement. Well, what do I know? Improved by a tenth. The difference come the end of the qualifying session.
142. 384. 20 minutes of the session remaining. What can these drivers find? Is it feasible we could see a time into the upper ends of the 141s? I think that might be a big ask, honestly, because as you say, the margins of improvement now. Mind you, we've still got 7 or 8 drivers we've not even seen out on track yet, so there are drivers to come that certainly have the opportunity and the prowess, perhaps, to vault even Sergio Paolo, maybe. Let's see. It just plays nicely into the story hands of Ferrari Challenge that we love so much. Sergio Paolo, Giacomo Rinaldo, then it is Fernandez Gil ahead of Del Favaro and Nunes Franco. They are the top 5 at the moment. They are the only 5 at the moment that have posted times, and we are in to the final 20 minutes of this qualifying session.
Yes, as Nicholas Abrahamson and Jason McCarthy, the two you were stoling the virtues of, have decided that now is the time. This is the place we're going out. We're coming and mixing it up. And
Mrs. Tina, look, Max Mugelli's trusted partner and confidant and bottom kicker in terms of motivation. I nearly said something else then. I'm glad I didn't. I'd have been taken off the air. Yeah, Tina, who is such a huge part of the team. They're wonderful, emotive people. And if you ever come to a Ferrari Challenge event, and we really hope that you do, you know, they are people, Nico, that you would be welcomed with open arms into their pit garage, and they would talk to you and, you know, love sharing the emotions of Ferrari with you. They live and breathe this wonderful brand that we're so privileged to be able to talk about. And Sergio Paolo then, who's struggling now, Nico, to find an improvement from that 142.384, is 9/100ths down on previous best times, which just reinforces what you said, that the margins of improvement just reduce, don't they, after a period of time. There's only so much more you can do, and of course you're trying to do more, and you've got a set of circumstances which are not necessarily playing into your hands either. You're taking another just a tiny amount of grip away from the car every lap that you run. The tyre relationship with the track is changing because the temperature is increasing. There are lots of variables, Nico, and these drivers are phenomenal at being able to analyze exactly what they need and have to do to extract the maximum, not only out of themselves, but out of the car as well.
indeed, absolutely, perfectly put and summarized. And Sergio Paolo, as you can see, he is still pushing and trying to increase his lead. Wasn't there on this attempt. Quite a bit away from his previous and overall best. As we take a look at a super slow-mo, that's the entry to the final turn. There's a little bit of a slide, but only marginal. Controls it very, very nicely. As now I want to say we're now getting into that final, or the second stage of this qualifying session. The first times have been set by those who have come out very early.
Yep.
Now here comes the second wave of drivers who left it later, have now come out, have installed the cars, and now ready to mix it up in terms of times. And Nobuhiro Imada is just one of them.
Mix it up. Nobuhiro Imada, you're quite right, is one of them. And we've seen some fantastic driving and some fantastic times from Nobuhiro Imada. I've mentioned more than once, Nobuhiro has done an awful lot of race driving in his time. Hugely experienced. Still absolutely loves his racing. And yeah, he's certainly one to watch here in Portimão, as indeed is Max Mugelli. Fourth fastest at the moment for Max Mugelli within class. Jason McCarthy is third fastest within class. That's fifth overall. So we'll see who's doing what in terms of times and improving. We're yet to see times, Nico, from Herbert Guys, Michael Verhagen, who's making his way out on track right now, and Otto Blank also.
Yeah, Otto.
Lueg Sportivo driver, forgive me.
Apologies. Otto Blank, the only driver who hasn't featured at all in this session. He's still parked in the pit lane as we are now into the second half of the session officially. And we can see there are improvements. Max Mugelli improved. Fernandez Gil improved and is second in class. Danilo Del Favro moving up. Jason McCarthy, Nobuhiro Imada puts himself into third in class on his first attempt, and those positions will change as we have personal bests left, right and center across our timing screen, so expect our drivers to move up. Sergio Paulet meanwhile has come into the pit lane. For him, he is in the cool down break, hydration break, to use the term that's been so dominant over the last few weeks.
There, the 88 car, Turalba, driving for Emil Frey now. Emil Frey, a team with a lot of heritage, Nico, and heritage of success. And you can see from one of our feeds into our studio here that I think Sergio Paulet is actually walking away from his car now. Not possible that he can get back into it and respond should he need to, but absolutely convinced that's where his train of thought is at the moment.
No, it looks like more decisive than that, if I may say. But as you say, there is a way back. He's not thrown in the towel, if you will. He can go back, but certainly indications are that for now he considers this qualifying session done and dusted. As we go on board, as you rightly say, and there is Jason McCarthy. And we can appreciate how attacking the curbs, you can feel it almost, the rumbling through your television screen.
With unfamiliar colour scheme and kicks up some dust and sneezed at. Well done.
No, and his final sector was purple, so that means, given that it was only his fourth lap out there, maybe the next one is going to be the one to watch for him. Good news, Otto Blank is also out of pit lane, so we have all the cars now featuring and figuring in this quali session.
Of which we have just under 12 minutes remaining. Giacomo Ronaldo remains P1 in class, and he indicates right and pulls the car into the pit lane right now. I wonder whether that is it for Giacomo Ronaldo, whether he feels that he's extracted the maximum from the car and from the tyres, and therefore is going to do no more in this qualifying session. As Abrahamson then on his debut is certainly hoping to improve. He sets a personal best, Nico, through Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's 9/10 down on Sergio Paulet, but certainly having a go for Formula Racing. It's great to see him on debut here in the Ferrari Challenge. 11 minutes now in this qualifying session. The race is to come this afternoon. The race duration 30 minutes plus 1 lap. We'll greet you this afternoon when the temperature is expected to be a little warmer than it is even now, and that would apply also to the track temperature. As Abrahamson then crosses the timing line and remains P2 in class, that's P3 overall. Best of the AM drivers is Giacomo Ronaldo. Here's super slow-mo replay then of 296 Challenge car. Looking awesome in the sunshine at the Portimão circuit.
No doubt about that, and for Abrahamsen, maybe getting on terms with Ronaldo and getting onto the front row, that would maybe be the first objective, as we for Juha Turbala currently P5 in class, and that means he's left 3 Pirelli drivers behind him provisionally, which is no mean feat, so really holding his own also in the overall position. And can he improve on this attempt? Not sure based on the split sectors. No, this wasn't the one that would elevate him further up the order, but with 9 minutes 47 seconds remaining, there is still time to do that.
So the order on the left-hand side of your screen, you see Sergio Paolo, Giacomo Ronaldo, who are the top 2 drivers, and they represent their individual classes, or the classes that they race within. If it's a red colour bar, that means they're a Pirelli driver. If it's a white colour bar, Pirelli driver. Drivers out of position. Well, there's a few, Nico. Michael Verhagen is one that I feel I should mention straight away. He's down there P12 overall.
Yeah, and he had a 1:43.358 disallowed due to track limits, which would have been good enough for P3 in class. So that certainly hurts him for the time being. He still has some minutes remaining, but as we said so many times before, every attempt you make, every time you push, you take something out of the car and the tires, and you have to find exactly the same line again. So he is behind the 8 ball for the time being, as we take a super slow-mo of Danilo Del Favro. And
Lying.
yeah, it's not the first time that we've seen Danilo do unorthodox things with his 296 Challenge. They're always entertaining, and more often than not, very, very quick as well.
I agree. It's Jason McCarthy then, driving the number 10 car for Wide World Ferrari. There is the number 33 machine of Michael Verhagen then, with work to be done, if I may say, Michael, and work to be done by keeping it within the white lines. Well, goes through that turn there, one of my favourite turns here at Portimão. You then climb uphill, Nico, the VIP suites to the left-hand side of your screen. Different livery for Michael Verhagen this weekend as well, Nico. So, number of drivers running in unfamiliar liveries.
Yeah,
just to try and catch us out.
Yeah, I think this livery is okay.
Knew that was going to come.
Well, there you go. Michael Verhagen, first sector was way more than okay, and the second sector alike, and he is quicker than anybody in class, so he is now on trajectory to challenge Giacomo Ronaldo for P1 in the ends.
Which is where we would expect him to be, Nico.
Certainly not out of character for him. He's only got 2 more turns to do, and within one
this season under his belt. And you can see why, Nico.
We've seen a lot of drivers being a lot smoother through there.
He'll say that there's a couple of tenths
but I think that was the previous lap.
Oh, really?
We just saw him going through there, and I don't remember that sideways moment from this lap.
Okay.
Unless I'm totally wrong, I think that wouldn't have been possible to put it onto P1 by...
and he does it again. It was...
Oops, he did it again.
Rerunning the fun there, Michael. Well done you, friend. We love that sideways action. It's not the quickest way, but it's really entertaining for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who else is out of position now that Michael Verhagen has done what we thought he could be capable of? Jason McCarthy, only P12 overall. That's quite lowly by his standards.
But do you know what? There's a realism here. And I'm sure Jason would say this, that European circuits are so different from American circuits. And that has an impact. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to align yourself to a different set of tarmac and curbs and things, you know? And yeah, Jason is currently P5 in class, which, yeah, I would have expected to see him higher up the order. As, well, Michael takes his sideways to another level and does several donuts, keeps it pointing in the right direction through the final turn. This is not going to be a lap which will threaten his previous 1:42.783 as he parks it straight into the pits. Well, I think Michael will say, I did that just for you guys because you were saying you like the sideways stuff. I thought I'm going to drift it around the final turn and give you a real smoke show so that you can talk about that on the telly.
Yes. Whether the engineers will feel that he's done a whole lot of good to his Pirelli P0s in that stunt is a totally different story. Yes. But
he might have flat spotted there.
Well, possibly. I mean, good thing that there was no impact neither with another driver nor with the barrier.
It's a bit safe, wasn't it, to be fair? It's just going to deal with underpants issues now, I would think. Oh, Michael. He's such a great character, I have to say.
He's still in the car, remarkably. I would have thought that where he is, and after that little moment, maybe he decides to, that's enough. But Michael Verhagen doing Michael Verhagen things, probably. Danilo De Favro and Herbert Geis both decided to come out again with still 4 minutes remaining, so maybe they will want to test something. I'm not sure if there is enough time to really do something about their position.
Engineer just taking a look to see what's left of that tyre.
Max Mugelli with a small improvement, which puts him back into P3 in class. We can be a little bit calm because there is not a lot of action out on the track. While I say that, there is the 71 car of Otto Blank, and he is trying to move up the order, currently 8th in class, which means for the time being he resides in the cellar of the standings and he is climbing up the stairs, moving up the order. At least that's the plan.
Oh, how descriptive are you in terms of where someone is? I love it. Otto Blank, as he tries to climb his way out of the cellar. Yeah, and let's see if he's managed to do that as he breaks the timing beam right now. Otto Blank doesn't.
No, but in fairness, with two...
Roses are red, violets are blue. Some perms rhyme, this one doesn't.
Two personal bests in Sector 2 and Sector 3, so he is certainly on an upward trajectory, even though it didn't materialize. Come on, Otto, please prove me right on this occasion. I trust in you. First sector as we go from Otto Blank to his good buddy Herbert Geis. Spent some memorable hours after the Mugello round at Bologna Airport, and I tell you, those were memorable. Luca Ludwig also involved in that. Very interesting and very enjoyable evening, as Otto Blank unfortunately has suffered a track limit infraction on this lap he just started, so that means no improvement incoming right now for Herbert Geis. Not looking too promising on this lap as well, based on the sector times, but he's got another shot at this after this one, or potentially even two. Not quite, probably. Not an improvement. Michael Verhagen's coming out again. Yeah, just saying. Lining up the action cam.
There, to the right-hand side of his screen, is Team Boss and Mr. Motivator Harold Prochik from Pro Racing, then, who looks after Herbert Geis. Oh, he heard me. And yeah, he'll be concerned with where Herbert is, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, especially Herbert Geis has shown so much pace already this season. So this is really the outlier, but it's not over yet. And the first sector of this attempt wasn't shabby by any stretch of the imagination.
Fernandez Gil, then, we're watching as well. Currently fourth fastest in class. It's Sergio Paula and Michael Verhagen who are our provisional pole sitters, with just under a minute remaining in this qualifying session. It's the Ferrari Challenge Europe. Live from the Circuit Internacional Algarve. Yes, we're here in Portimão, bringing you the action from qualifying and, of course, the racing to come this afternoon. As Fernandez Gil then continues to accelerate. Unfortunately, Sector 1 was not a brilliant time. posted. It's P9 overall, but as I mentioned, it is P4 in the Pirelli class. The Pirelli drivers with the red strip. Well, Nico.
Indeed, and I mean, he's the only one who's really out there now with any chance to push. So the only reward he could get would be a P1 overall.
Ooh.
That would mean he would have to leapfrog Sergio Paulet. He's not doing a poor job about that, but even after 2 sectors, 2/10 down on the Sergio Paulet time. Will that be enough? That would be a monumental achievement.
Wouldn't it?
One way or the other, he's going to be P1 in class, come what may, and that is remarkable in itself. So let's see if he pushes it all the way to the checkered flag, or if he finds some other circus move through this part of the circuit.
Oh, come on, Michael. No.
No.
He bails it. Thank you for the entertainment, friend.
Yeah. Good effort, though. I mean, that was...
He'll say, I was just showing you guys how, we're on a knife edge and giving you the, the opportunity to talk about it.
For sure.
It was all planned. Well, a very, very interesting qualifying session from our Pirelli and Pirelli Am drivers as Michael Verhagen brings the car into the pit lane. Understand everything that was being said. Sergio Paulet, though, there is about to receive his pole position award, Nico.
Yeah, first proper wardrobe needs
Absolutely,
to
come
be in place. Yeah, he did the hard work early in the session, and then tires are perfectly okay for the race later on. I think that's an art, You do that stunt and keep your tires in working order. You're a different talent than even the best of them. There is Michael Verhagen, P1 for Pirelli Am. He will be on the front row of the race overall, alongside Sergio Paulet.
Another interesting qualifying session brought to you by the Ferrari Challenge. Michael Verhagen. Let's get confirmation of the results then. For our Trofeo Pirelli driver, Sergio Paulet, P1. For our Pirelli Am drivers, Michael Verhagen, P1. They were followed by Giacomo Ronaldo, Niklas Abrahamsen, Nobuhiro Amada, Max Mugelli, Danilo Del Favaro, Juha Turalba then, ahead of Ruben Fernandez-Gil. Then it was Tomas Nunes Franco, Herbert Guys, Jason McCarthy, Otto Blank. Whatever you do, make sure you join us for the racing to come this afternoon. It will be epic. From Nico and from myself, thank you for watching qualifying. Bye-bye for now.